nerdy turkeys, welcome back to Between Nerds. I'm your host, Aldo Mendez, here with my co-host, Drew Elias. How you doing, my man?
I'm good. Welcome back, everybody. I'm sorry we're a day late, but like I said on Twitter, a spooky ghost stole our mic. But we're here. We're back better than ever. Today's November 1st. First day of turkey season. I'm ready for it. Halloween's over. I miss it already, but I'm also like big relieved that it's over. It's just crazy to think that we're almost done with the year. But to that point, new year, new hashtag. New month, new hashtag. We're gonna go over some housekeeping notes here at the beginning. Number one, y'all suck. Y'all are absolutely disappointing as a podcasting audience. We haven't had to do this in about 8-9 months. Don't get me wrong, but the entire month of October, all 31 days, zero people use the hashtag so that we can donate to a nonprofit. Zero people, that's not our friends. Thank you, Rachel. Zero people use hashtag Tits for Nerds.
Tits for Nerds. We were gonna, make some donations for maybe some cancer awareness nonprofits, but we will never know since we didn't get a chance to.
Right. Just because we're nice, we still will be donating $10 to the Cancer Center of El Paso. Mm-hmm. But y'all can make it up to us. If you really care, after 66 episodes, please, for the month of November's a really hard time. It's like, this is when people start needing donations. This is when your family's going to start getting together. We had a campaign last year that we really liked, that was really good for us. Mm-hmm. That was for, we did a food drive, basically. Mm-hmm. So we did our normal method. Everyone, please use hashtag
Nerds for the Homeless.
Nerds for the Homeless in the original tweet or Instagram post. For every like and or retweet on Twitter or Instagram, we will be buying goods, like canned goods, drinks, whatever, for the Opportunity Center for the Homeless here in El Paso.
Very good people. They reached out to us once we once we did our video on Instagram, once we put out the hashtags. They even called me, thanking us. The director.
Good people.
Good people.
And this is when they have to work the hardest. So anything we can do on our end with our little bubbled community that's spread all over the world here, we're more than welcome to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to feel awesome if you guys do, We also, encourage you to do your own food drives. Anything helps. A can of peas, a can of green peas.
Send us pictures, too. Yeah. If you're doing your own little donations, just take a quick little pic and be like, hey, hashtag Nerds for the Homeless, or DM us. You don't have to make it a public thing, even. Yeah. You can just hit us up and be like, hey, I did something good. I was thinking about you all. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And even if you're not on that selfless side of the spectrum, there's still a selfish incentive here, which is, at the end of the month, we are going to throw everybody that used the hashtag Nerds for the Homeless, in a random number generator, and we will be selecting a giveaway winner.
Absolutely. And when you get a hot anime item, we usually try to pander to whoever does win, and we usually try to get it right before, right after the selection is made.
If you like Demon Slayer, we'll get you some Demon Slayer stuff. Mm-hmm. If you like Naruto, we'll get you some Naruto stuff.
Yeah.
And to that end, you want to get into it? I know that the past 2 weeks we keep saying that this episode and the next episode and the next episode is supposed to be over season 2 of Yu Yu Hakusho, but the weekend before, both Roby and Aldo were at weddings all weekend, and then this past weekend didn't work out with Roby's schedule either, but we will be having him for this weekend to talk about season 2 of Yu Yu Hakusho. And super last minute, me and Aldo decided to talk about the 2009 Studio MadHouse production of Summer Wars.
Correct, because we're never going to run out of fucking anime content to watch and talk about.
Ever.
Ever, as much as we try. But yeah, man, Summer Wars, crazy. 2009. Same year that Red Line dropped. MadHouse Studio.
Same studio as Red Line. And it's so crazy because Red Line and Summer Wars premiered at the same Japanese film event. Mm-hmm. But the thing about Red Line is it was in production for 7 whole years. Summer Wars had more of a traditional anime production, and it was only a year or so. Mm-hmm. We talk all the time about how anime studios can chuck out a whole 12 episode season in 6 months. Mm-hmm. But the interesting part about Summer Wars for me is the director here. Is Momuro Hosoda. And he directed like the first 3 Digimon films. Like he used to be with Toei Animation for a little bit. And the thing about Summer Wars is it has the studio MadHouse like animation, which is like top tier, like A1. No one can do it better.
Yeah, before bankruptcy.
Especially at that time. Like no, they were just untouchable in like the animation department, especially 2D animation. But it's like the exact same plot to the very first Digimon movie, which is hilarious when you watch it.
Which were refreshing my memory and the whole thing. All I remember from Digimon is just like little kids jumping into like an isekai computer world and just hanging out with little monsters.
Right. And like that's what's funny about like we get to when we think about Digimon after the whole isekai boom is it's like we had isekais this entire time. Like that's exactly what Digimon was. They were transported to another world and they were trapped there. That's literally the plot to every isekai ever. Except for Summer Wars, it's fucking Mark Zuckerberg's wet dream.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm sorry. I mean, the movie starts off with explaining you what this Facebook meta is.
Yeah.
And it's just a hyper social interaction. I don't want to say site, but it is a site. But it's like a software.
It's like if the internet was also virtual reality, which is exactly Mark Zuckerberg's vision for Facebook Meta.
Correct. Like it reminds me of like this episode of Futurama where you go into the internet instead of like on your computer.
Right. It's the exact same thing. And it's so if the whole world is on the internet like we are now, and all of our infrastructure is on the internet, your avatar, your physical avatar is in this digital space, like fucking around with like computer programs, being like, I'm gonna turn this traffic light on. I'm gonna turn off the emergency services for this building, stuff like that. So the first few characters we meet here are just these 2 nerds running code for this online space. Oz. It's called Oz, which is also like it's a play on the Wizard of Oz, obviously. But that's kind of like the metaphor here is the wizard in the Wizard of Oz was fake, right? Like he was a fake persona. He was a fake leader.
A man behind the curtain.
Right. Like one of the most famous metaphors in all of film, the man behind the curtain.
Correct.
And that's kind of what like they're trying to like shove in your face here in the beginning.
And as far as this Oz, virtual world, I mean, like you said, you are your own avatar, your bank accounts are connected to you, your contacts are connected to you, your calendars are connected to you, so it's just like a Facebook thing, almost. It's weird how
interconnected it is, because right now it's like...
It relates to today's time, right? Now that we're watching this, because I'm like, fuck, is this what Zuckerberg's gonna want to do? You know what I'm saying?
Which is terrible, because it's like
there's a place full of misinformation and
just garbage, just people yelling racial slurs and like anti-vax nonsense in one section. But like the way they animate like the physical manifestation of Oz, the physical manifestation of the internet, it looks dope. Like it's a bunch of brights, a bunch of like just. It's a bunch of like really bright fluorescent colors over like a white backdrop. So it's like the clean scrubbing of the internet over like the creativity and all the color and innovation of like everybody's
Oz is.
Of Oz, of everybody's creation of what they've put into it, right?
Correct. And it's not and when if we want to talk about what is outside of this Oz world, I mean, people are still living regular lives. This is nothing like Player One, or what is it?
Player One.
Player One. Like, nobody's dying on the outside or anything like that. People have their normal lives.
It's like the Matrix. That's how the Matrix treats it, too. If you die in there, you die in real life. But not in Oz.
Yeah, not in Oz. You just make another profile.
Right. Yeah. Which is, like, ironic because it's, like... It's cool how you can compare it. Because, like, Facebook owns Oculus Rift, right? Which is a VR headset.
All right.
And that's how, like, Zuckerberg sees using Meta, right? In that virtual space. Here, because it was made in 2009, and they hadn't yet started thinking about, like, real VR technologies, we didn't have, like, things to compare it to. Everyone's acting in the digital space like it's first person, but whenever it goes back to the real world, they're really just on their keyboard, just typing. And everyone's, like, audio's integrated somehow automatically, which is, like... It's cool to see, and that's like the beginning of the Digimon movie too. Is that in the Digimon Masters movie or whatever it's called, the kids are transported to the digital space. They come back, but then they have to deal with like a rogue digital virus, a Digimon that is trying to overtake all of the automated systems that are run by the internet.
And I mean, to put a little time perspective here, Facebook, its raw first version of the system started in 03, and not really. It started, the prelude started in 03, and it first launched on 04.
Right. I didn't even hear about Facebook until like 2009.
And that's what I was gonna say. If anything, 2009 was like the peak. Oh shit, everybody's into Facebook. Well, fuck, I gotta get a Facebook.
I feel like Facebook died once like boomers fell in love with it. Once boomers took it way too seriously, that's when like Facebook died for like 2 generations.
And mom minion memes.
Honestly, I have a little story about that. So like, if I made a Facebook in like 2009. My mom must have made a Facebook in like 2013, 2014. I was home from school because her birthday's in like November. No, it was Mother's Day. It was Mother's Day. So I was home from school for the summer from Texas Tech. So I'm at my mom's house. I walk over to her room and I'm like, hey, Mom, happy Mother's Day. I love you. Walk back to my room. She comes back an hour later, pissed. She's like, why didn't you tell me happy Mother's Day on Facebook?
Oh, shit. Dog.
Yeah. That's when I was like, holy fuck. Like, Facebook has just destroyed boomers. Like, this shit is devious.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I can tell you a couple of those stories on my side of the family. Why didn't you fucking do that? Shut up.
Why didn't you like my selfie, son? You don't love me anymore? You don't think your mom's beautiful?
And then Candy Crush came in, and then fuck all that.
Which, like, that same thing's happening here. Because, so they're trying to show you all the cool things in Oz. It's like, look, you can read every book ever. You can experience every reality ever. You can play fighting simulation video games. You can trade stocks. You can
go shopping for avatar clothes. Which we know, especially Reddit. After Reddit created their own little avatar people are just like flushing money down for like little gimmicks for their little avatars.
Which is so hilarious even more. Because that's literally one of the things Zuckerberg tried to show off in the Meta trailer like last week. Which is like, see, I can customize my own fucking avatar. And he picks the clothes that are exactly like the ones he's wearing.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. I never heard of Second Life. I'm sure you had.
Yes.
I didn't know what it was.
Yes.
It's
this.
I had a boomer coworker that was always like, oh, and then I was doing this and I was doing that. And I'm like, looking at her, I'm like, What? It's like, yeah, on Second Life. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I don't know.
I remember Second Life always being in the same discussion as like MMOs, but it's not an MMO.
Yeah.
It is like Facebook Meta before Facebook Meta. It's
life.
Yeah,
you go
it's
to
life.
Jail, you commit crimes, you go grocery shopping.
It's Roblox, but for adults.
Yeah.
And it's been around for fucking forever, which is this movie right here, because our main guy, his name is Kenji Koiso.
Yes, sir.
Him and his best friend are they're math nerds. They're the fucking mathletes. They're the fucking nerds from Mean Girls. But the thing that confuses me, maybe it's because I don't know that much about coding, is they make it seem like the old school coding that's like just ones and zeros, where like if you can stare at it long enough you can do a math problem and then you can code. I don't know if that's how real world code actually works.
It seems like it's like binary code, but it's not binary because it's almost hexabinary. I mean hexa diary or whatever you call it.
Whatever, yeah.
But yes, so at some point he gets put up like a list of numbers which go from 1 to 9, 0 to 9.
Yeah.
And he solves the fucking thing.
Right.
Somehow.
Because Kenji is shown to be good at math because he got second place at like a nationwide math competition. And that's why he's doing code part-time during the summer for Oz. And that's where the beginning of the movie starts. Is him and his best friend are running code, and they're like, oh, I can't wait to do this all fucking summer, like a bunch of fucking nerds. And then the most popular girl in school, Natsuki
Shinohara?
Yeah, Natsuki comes through and she's like, "I have a job for one of you two nerds," and that's like the call to adventure, kind of, because it's kind of the hero's journey, but it's not the hero's journey, but it kind of is, because this is his call. Is this girl being like, "Hey, I have a job for you to do," and it takes up his whole summer,
and that's why it's called Summer Wars.
And that's why it's called Summer Wars, which is it's cool. It's not cool, but the gimmick here is that we get cool pieces of animation. Of him riding the train, riding buses, taking cabs, to this remote fucking house where this girl's grandma lives.
And the whole family kind of lives there, right? Or are they all just visiting?
For her birthday.
Because
true. It's grandma's 90th birthday. And it's that family dynamic that we tried talking about with Fruits Basket. Where it's a family, air quotes family, which is how the dub treated the translation. But it's kind of like a relation of different families into a clan.
Correct. Which is Miss Sake Jinoshi.
Yeah. And they have this long, drawn-out history in, like, the feudal age of Japan, where they help different feudal lords. So, yes, it shows, like, a full 10 minutes of them riding out into the middle of fucking nowhere Japan up in the mountains.
Something we rarely get to see, though, like the family dynamic here. Because everybody's talking, all the characters are in the story. They need to be there in the story because it's set to the girl or female protagonist, Natsuki. She tricks Kenji into being her fiance?
Beyonce boyfriend?
Fiance
boyfriend? Yeah, because that's the part-time job, is that she's gonna drag him without telling him that he has to go to her grandma's house with her, and she introduces him as her fiance.
Dumb as mistaken her mom with the grandma?
Right! No, her aunt. That was her aunt.
The aunt.
That was her aunt. Right. So these are like 16, 17-year-old kids, right? Because they're still in high school. So they go all the way out to the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Japan, to meet her 90-year-old grandma. And the minute she gets there, she's like, "Hey, this is Kenji. He's one of the smartest math nerds around. He studied abroad in the United States. He goes to Tokyo University." Just a bunch of fucking lies because she instructed him just to go with it. And she's like, "Yeah, and we're also engaged."
And then it's like, almost nosebleeds.
Yeah, you're just like, "What? I've never even looked at a girl before. I've never touched a girl.
I like numbers.
I like numbers. I don't like women." So that's like the big gimmick, is like now he's trapped in the middle of nowhere. He agreed to do this job, and he needs to pretend to be this essentially stranger's fiance. Like he doesn't even know this girl that well.
Good character design. I mean, the girl looks cute. You know what I'm saying? It's
She reminds me of the girl from SSS's Gridman.
Oof, I can't remember SSS's Gridman because I don't like it.
It just long black hair, bangs, girl. I don't know.
Yeah,
but like a lot. So to the point you were making earlier, it's a huge family dynamic because if it's the matriarch of a clan's 90th birthday, everyone is expected to show up to this bitch. So they sit on like 5 acres of land up in the mountain, which like 5 acres of land in Japan's like a bunch of fucking land. You know what I mean? That's a bunch of fucking land. So he meets her. He meets the Natsuki's aunt. He meets her other uncles, her cousins, her second cousins,
little bitty cousins,
the cousins of the cousins, the third cousins, and they're all here just to like greet the matriarch and wish her a happy 90th birthday. So he's a loser, you know what I mean? Because even though what's different about this, what you were like starting to talk about, is that we never get the family dynamic in anime, right? We always get the loser protagonist who doesn't have either a mom or a dad or neither. Like parents just don't exist in anime world. Correct. Except here it's that same thing. Like he really doesn't have attentive parents or anything. And they have a family dinner. There's like 20 people at this giant spread out table, huge ass feast, like all the women in the family. That's a little bit sexist because none of the dudes help like at all. Yeah, they were just fucking around and like drinking while the girls were in the kitchen.
And they're sitting. And once everybody comes down and sits down, there is a beginning plot to this dinner feast that they're about to have, where Natsuki is like, okay, well, let's get introductions ready, and literally puts out like a family tree, like no pictures or anything, just kanji and stuff. But it's like, oh, well, to your left is so and so, and then so and so.
We're not even trying to repeat them. There's like 30 of these people.
Yeah,
like...
and we get different characters. We get an uncle that was in the war,
right?
That he aspires so much to the clan's ancestors and past, and he's always telling stories like, oh, we've 700 of us fought against 1,500 of these people, and we fucking won, and we defended the Imperial Army, and blah blah blah, and then we have like this asshole cop he's a second cousin, but he's also in love with Natsuki, which there's another like Japaneseism there that's brought up like a lot in this movie. From like Fruit Baskets kind of?
Yeah, like it's okay to like want to date your cousin kind of thing.
Within your clan? Within your family?
There's a lot of that in here. Like a lot of that.
Because even in American culture, even if it's your second cousin, third cousin, like it's kind of like, ugh, come on, bro.
Yeah. Like even like politicians that find out they secretly married their third cousin, it's like, that's not right, bro. But then like in Japan, it's kind of like, because it's that clan mentality, you know what I mean? Like you got to keep it within the family. Like you can't be letting strangers into your family because you're trying to protect something.
And that's what that was what's going to be my point after the whole introduction. The asshole cop, he has a mad face the entire time. He's like, no, I'm not right. I oppose. It's like, shut up. Grandma already agreed that he's a cool guy. So fuck you.
Because Grandma's got that third eye grandma power. Yeah, she's like, these eyes have never lied before. And I can just see that he's a good guy. So everyone needs to shut the fuck up.
And they do.
They do. Because the matriarch said so. You know what I mean? Like, it's all these assholes. It's like fishermen. It's people that work for like Black Ops in Japan
and military, for the water company, for the electric company, there's
multiple firemen. There's some EMTs in there, like
the guy that works for traffic.
Because they shit on like the grandma's late husband here at a certain point, because the family had a lot of money at one point, because after like the feudal period in Japanese industrialization period, they made a lot of money in like textiles and stuff and factory workers and stuff like that. But by the time the grandpa was of age, he kind of just like swindled all the money. So like all they have are like the family connections, which ends up being worth a lot, actually, and like the piece of property that grandma has. Which, like, the house, like...
looks amazing. I wish I had that house.
It's great. It's ginormous. Like, if you imagine the house from Fruits Basket, like, the old school partition doors, the wood platforms all around it, like, the really old school, like, Japanese architecture. Times 10, but it's ginormous.
Might as well be a castle.
Yeah, it is. I think that's how they're trying to make it seem. Like, it's one of those feudal kind of castles.
Because, I mean, all the family comes and visits for the 90th birthday of the grandma, and everybody can stay there comfortably.
There's 30 fuckers initially. They expected 50, which becomes an issue. They were like, we still have room for you. Where are you? I expect my husband and our 5 kids here now. And it's just like, they were really going to fit all these people?
Great house. And it's like by a shore. So they have access to like boats and stuff and fishing. Because obviously there's fishermen in their fucking family. And to even... not even deal with that family construct right now, Kenji starts to feel super uncomfortable because of the lie that is going on.
And he's a nerd, too.
Yeah, so like he's just like, fuck, how do I keep lying? How do I keep lying? How do I keep lying?
He's not a social person. Like it all. Like, she picked almost the exact wrong person for this.
And there's a spot where, I mean, after the introduction to the world of Oz, which is this, virtual world... apparently throughout this whole feast and first dinner that they had to commemorate Grandma's 90th birthday, there's another kid who is playing in NOS in his computer. Right. And Kenji bumps into him and he's like, oh shit. It's like, you were here the entire time? As he's doing that...
his name is Kazuma.
As he's talking to Kazuma, he's not in the room when Uncle shows up.
Right. So just like every other family ever, there's the one deadbeat, you know what I mean? I've had that deadbeat uncle. He's dead because of his own doing. And and like same kind of things going on right here. There's this one deadbeat uncle who's like barely even related because he's like the adopted son of grandma because her husband, the dead one that swindled all the money, fucked around with a side girl, got a kid. So we get a flashback at one point where she's already in like her 60s, 70s, and she's adopting like a 4-year-old. Which is like super sad, and it shows a lot about who this person is, who grandma is here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, he is.
He shows up talking shit,
talking dumb shit.
She's like, "What the fuck are you all doing in my house? Where's that old hag? Is she dead already?"
Ooh. Imagine somebody showed up like talking to your 9-year-old grandma like that.
They're fighting words.
Yeah, you know. So like right away, like all the uncles are like, "You better step the fuck back. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you."
Go ahead.
No, it's we start learning more about him and where this lie for Kenji is coming from, because he's a 20-year-old something math genius, computer coding god who went to Tokyo University. Did out of country schooling. Yeah, he studied abroad. Thank you. I don't know why the fuck I forgot the word abroad. At the United States, but he's an estranged member of the family because grandma gave him some land as her adopted son. He sold it to go fuck around with the United States and try to start his own business.
Correct. And his entire story is the same mimic story that he gave Kenji.
Right. That Natsuki gave about Kenji.
Correct. And while the family is talking shit to the uncle and the uncle's talking shit back, grandma shows up to the room and it's like, "Hey, everybody shut the fuck up. Can you feed this guy? Can you come and sit down?"
I'm full of shit. He's 41 and his name's Wabusuke.
Uncle Wabusuke, he sees grandma and he's like, "Oh shit, you're still alive, you old hag, blah blah blah." He's like, "Shut the fuck up, you idiot. Come and sit down since you're looking like you're struggling over there."
She's a good person.
Because he doesn't need, but she's a good person, but like she has the tough love almost.
Yeah, well, her weakness is her family. Both her strength and her weakness is her family. Correct. You know what I mean? Because it's ironic because the dead husband here, her husband was the family leader at one point, and she is technically not blood in the family, but she's still been able to assume this matriarchal position. And she has all the connections in the family. Like, you're led to believe at a certain point in the movie that half the people in the family have their jobs because of grandma and the connections the family has. Because the big gimmick here is, so they tell Wabusuke to have dinner. He's still talking shit the whole time. And this is where it gets really uncomfortable now that I just Googled this motherfucker's age. Because Natsuki is like madly in love with her uncle, right? Who is more than twice her age because she is 18 in this movie.
Correct.
So she's playing like koi koi. She's playing like a like card chess, backgammon kind of looking game.
Yeah, and a little bit before that, let me just mention that as conflicts start to rise between the table and the family with Wabusuke, she comes into the room. She's like, "Uncle, blah blah blah," and like diffuses the entire thing. She's like, "What do you mean, blah blah blah?" Puts his arm around.
She doesn't even realize where everybody hates him.
Exactly, and she didn't. It almost felt like she didn't even realize that there was animosity in the room.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, and then that's where they start playing the game.
Yeah, they start playing this game, and it's showing that he's smart. You know what I mean? Because so Natsuki and Wabusuke are playing. It's called koi koi. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of weird traditional Japanese game where you stack cards on top of each other. So it's kind of like solitaire almost.
It reminds me of I think it's called Build-A-Ramen or Ramen. I don't know if you.
What is that?
It's a game like koi koi.
Okay.
But so in simple terms, I guess your first card would be your broth, and then your noodles, and then your ingredients.
Right.
And then when you get a whole set, then you call koi and you keep that.
That's exactly what it is. That's the exact game, except they're doing it with like flowers.
Yeah, they're doing it with like a forest, a backdrop, and like an animal or something like that.
Right, so you need to make a proper series to get like a point or whatever, and then you can choose after every point to like cash out, and then your opponent can like choose to like see if they can get more points than you.
You can steal their stuff if you need it or some shit like that.
Right, and this is where you're again getting the sense that he's really smart, because Kenji is like a math savant, and he's with like a pen and a notepad, like watching Natsuki and Wabusuke like try to play this game, and he's trying to throw math at it. Like he's trying to figure out how Wabusuke is doing this, and he's just making it look all easy. He's a professor at Carnegie Mellon University, teaching computer engineering. And he's kind of bragging on himself, which is weird because his 18-year-old great half grandniece, because technically he's her half great uncle,
yes,
is like totally crushing on him, and he's just going along with it and just kind of bragging on himself, maybe to feel good about himself.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just the American culture he picked up in America.
Is being an asshole a strictly American feature?
I believe so.
So yeah, whatever. Everyone fucks off for the night. You know what I mean? Everyone's tired. They had this ginormous meal, this banquet. It's not even like the next day, but like 2 days from now is actual grandma's birthday. Right? So everyone gets ready for the night. They for this giant house, there's one bathroom. When I say bathroom, I mean a room with a bath, not a restroom.
Yeah, a room with water in it.
Yes, there's a room with a tub. There's one of them in this whole fucking mansion. So this again, there's this creepy nerdism Japanese thing where like Natsuki is helping bathe her cousins as the oldest female cousin here, and like she helps bathe them. She leaves the water hot for Kenji, and she's like, "Hey, go take a bath." And he's like nervous. He's like, "Oh, I can't take a bath and get naked in the same house that Natsuki could be bathed in. I can't do it."
Yeah, I think the dialogue as he walks into like the bathroom is like, "Oh, she was just naked in this water."
Yeah, he sniffs it, takes this big, ugly like.
Just to find out they were like the two little cousins were still in the water,
like the baby cousin, like these two 5-year-olds pop up and they're like, "Hey, weirdo, what are you doing?" So he does all that, but then he gets lost in the middle of the night, and that's where he like re-finds Kazuma, and he sees that Kazuma is like on Oz and fucking around. But the thing about this system, or the way Oz is in this movie, is it's like, you need to keep in mind in 2009, we really didn't have smartphones, right? When did the first iPhone come out? 2010?
Yeah.
We had like Blackberries at the time, and that was like the only thing that could go on the internet.
Yeah, I think the closest thing we had to something cool was a Sidekick.
Yeah, and even then, remember trying to use the internet on a fucking site? I don't even think they had Wi-Fi.
No,
I don't even think...
I don't think so either.
Imagine trying to use the internet on fucking Edge. That shit's 2G.
Crazy. Garbage.
But... you can access Oz on your phone, flip phones. So like
on your Razor,
so Kenji busts out a fucking Razor and is all on Oz talking shit, and he gets a message, and it's just a line of code, and this math nerd's like, "Oh, I love a good problem," and he spends the rest of the night up until the sun comes up, just doing this bum ass math problem. He sends it to this random number that he got it, which like who reads spam? You know what I mean? Like, if a spam number that you don't have saved sent you like a 2,000 piece of line code, why would you even give that your time of day? Yeah, you almost expect for it to decipher to be like, this is spam. Yeah. You know? Good job, nerd. Fucking loser. Yeah. So, but he solves the code, air quote solves the code, sends it back out. 30 minutes later, he passes out because he's so tired and the sun's coming out. So you expect it to be like, if it's summer, that's like 5 a.m. or something like that. And then he wakes up, and the little bum-ass kids that were in the bath, the little cousins, they grab him, they wake him up, and they're like, "Hey, you're a criminal, you're a criminal, you're a criminal." He's like, "Shut up, you fucking kids." They drag him to the one TV set, and then his fucking mugshots on the TV. And the news anchors of Japanese like national television are like, "Weird fuck-ass 17-year-old high school kid accidentally shut down the entire internet today." Yeah, Oz is locked. Nobody can get access to Oz, which... it is almost weird because we have talked about, like, earlier than 2009 movies, just like Ghost in the Shell, their misconception about what the internet is. Which is what Mark Zuckerberg's trying to turn it into.
Which is what Mark Zuckerberg's trying to turn it into. But like, apparently in Oz, if you are a high power like selected official or something like that, then everything is there. Mm-hmm. Like your emails, your access to different
there's
computers
no
and
cryptid networks. There's no.
But they do tell you at the beginning on the introduction of Oz, they're like, "Oh, this is the highest security, blah blah blah, encryption, blah whatever." And as they're telling that, it's like, "Oh, this fuck had just shut everything down. Nobody can get on for like a while, or like an hour. Nobody could have got on." And
longer,
or longer, maybe like the Facebook was shut down for like 4 hours
for like a whole fucking day.
Yeah.
Because Kenji like sees that he's on TV and everyone's blaming him for shutting down Oz. He tries to log in on his phone, and his avatar's been stolen. Like his account's been hacked. You know what I mean? So then his friend that was in the initial scene that he was making code with at school makes him up like a temporary avatar, which is like this cute little squirrel thing. Mm-hmm. And he's able to log in, and he sees his avatar in like fucking. He looks like a virus. Like he looks like he's infected. Mm-hmm. He's out here. The physical manifestation of his avatar is infecting other parts of Oz.
Correct.
So that's why everyone's blaming him, because it's his avatar that's jumping around and like consuming other avatars, shutting down whole pieces of Oz. And it's so, yes, it's the internet, but the way this movie wants to treat it is that it's like a video game at the same time. So you need to have a sense of how video games work, because if your zombie avatar gets stolen, it can bite onto somebody else's avatar, infect it, and consume it into itself.
Correct.
Which ends up being like a big issue, which is also the plot to the fucking Digimon movie. Mm-hmm. Is that this one fucking Digimon can keep infecting other people's characters. But to your point, Aldo, your whole life is connected to your avatar.
Correct.
So if I'm the president of the United States,
all your credentials go with your avatar.
Right, all your credentials, everything. And if you were to take over the president of the United States fucking avatar, you have the nuclear codes. Mm-hmm. So just imagine that, but for everything. So this man's shutting down water pipes. He's fucking up the flights. He's making traffic signals not work. He's fucking up people's GPS. And just all this stuff. But
train systems,
which is
fucking important in Japan.
So because everyone else is like trying to get everyone there for Grandma's birthday the next day. They're all on the phone with everybody, like, hey, where you at? Husband, where you at? Cousin, like, come through. We're waiting at Grandma's house. Oh, well, I was going to go, but my flight's all fucked up. I don't know what's going on. Oh, you work at the water company? Yeah, every pipeline's diverted somehow. I don't know what's going on. You work for the fire department? Yeah, I've been on calls for 12 hours straight because we keep getting fake calls.
Yeah, and of all people dying or pushing their life alert fucking alarms.
Which we don't even know, but that's like pre-context. That's like coming up. You know what I mean? And it's so quick when it happens. You're just like, oh, okay, whatever. That makes sense. Like people's heart monitors are fake going off to the EMTs. Okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And then at some point, our asshole family member cop is like, there you are, Kenji, I'm gonna take you in. And for some reason, he's on duty now.
Because it's the next day. It's the middle of the day the next day. So I guess he went to work that morning. And because Kenji's face is all over the news, he's the number one criminal in the world.
And he has it out for him because it's stealing his girl.
Right, he's stealing his cousin. Okay. So he grabs him, arrests him, but they get stuck in traffic trying to leave town and go to the police station because all the traffic signals are fucked up, like we just tried saying.
But it's a jam mess of fucking traffic.
Yeah, like the whole fucking world. Like they call one of the aunts or one of the cousins at some point, and it's just like, yeah, I'm in Hokkaido, but it says I'm in the middle of Tokyo right now, and so I have no idea when I'm going to get there because my GPS is all fucked up. And so turns out that the big like second call to adventure here is Natsuki finally deciding to defend her fake husbando, goes and like gets his ass from her cousin's like car, not even his police car, like his regular. It's a fucking Mazda. RX-8. You know what I mean? And so they go get him, and they're just like, he's the only one that can solve the code. He did it once, he can do it again. This virus is taking over everyone's avatars. You please have to let him go so that he can try to fix the problem.
And again, but right before that, we get a call. Kenji gets a call from a friend back in his town. It's like, "What you do, stupid nerd?" It's like, "Did you really break that neck?" He's like, "No, it wasn't me." It's like, "I know it's not you, you ballless fucking, you sackless nerd.
You would never do this.
Yeah.
You don't have the sack for this."
And he's like the oracle figure here. He's like, "Oh, well, let me look into it, see what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I'll call you back later."
Exactly.
When they convince the cop cousin that's like, "Dude, you're not going anywhere. Look at the fucking traffic. Let's just go back home and try to fucking figure this shit out." Once they get back home, this friend, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. Natsuki. No, not Natsuki, the girl, the friend. The one out of town.
Oh, I can't even remember his name.
But he tells him, "Is like, hey man, don't worry about it.
Takashi.
You didn't do this. It's like, I'm gonna send you all the accounts that figured out the code, and guess what? Your name's not in there
because you fucked up the last line
because you were fucking tired overnight and you messed in the last fucking code letter."
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh fuck, well I didn't do that. I thank God I didn't do it." But then he explains, he's like, not only the people that got it right, but the people that got it wrong also got hacked. So it's like clicking on spam. It's like opening a fucking attachment on your fucking computer.
Like, he was kind of the scapegoat for a second. And that's the thing, because as he's explaining this, he's back with the Kazuma cousin, who is King Kazuma, this Oz celebrity inside the game. That's like the best fighter within Oz, because like I was saying, it's also like
a game.
It's also a game at the same time. Like,
because you could do golf. I mean, you could do sports. You can do fighting. You can do casino shit. You can do arcade shit. You can do
this nerd's doing kung fu inside Oz.
Correct.
So Kazuma in his King Kazuma avatar tries fighting the virus.
Cool. I like the character design.
Fire.
It is nice. It reminds me of the new fire Pokemon.
Oh, God, Score Bunny.
Yeah, Score Bunny. There you go.
Yeah. It's like yes. It's exactly Score Bunny, except he's wearing like a red
vest.
A red vest with like gloves because he does kung fu. You know what I mean? He can't hurt his precious hands.
It looks cool. I like it.
With the animation's great because the actual fights look amazing. Because this virus that stole Kenji's avatar starts turning into like this Buddhist demon thing.
Well, yeah, because he has like a couple of faces, and his first face is just Kenji's avatar with like almost like a smile printed on him that we know that it's the virus. Mm-hmm. But then after King Kazuma shows up and starts beating the shit out of him, he pulls out his trump card and starts eating or devouring more avatars and therefore getting their powers or their skills. So he does turn into like this fucking Exodia fucking character.
Yeah, exactly. He gets like this ring around him. If you've seen the end of Hunter x Hunter or the end of the Chimera Ant arc, where there's the Buddhist statue that the chairman has, his Nen power, it looks like that kind of, except like more evil in the face.
Correct. It almost reminds me too of the Station 7 Fire Force guy, the guy that has like the ring behind him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Company 7, I'm sorry. But yeah, it looks tight. It looks evil. Great. It looks cool.
And it's then too that Kazuma starts getting his ass. But it's not only that. It's because you have to keep in mind that the real Kazuma is in the real world, and he's in a house full of his fuck-ass cousins. Mm-hmm. So at the same time, like, Kazuma is King Kazuma in the game trying to fight this virus. And Kenji's watching him like, you can do it, Kazuma, you can do it. The fuck-ass 5-year-old cousins that have been talking dumb shit since last night in the bath show up and just start fucking with him.
Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, you can play? Let me see what games you have on your
your avatar. What are you doing, cousin? What are you doing?
And yeah, they fuck him up. And not only at this time where this is going on, Uncle, what's his name? Watatsu? Wabusuke. The grown-ups are talking in the other room, and he's like, yeah, I know what's going on. I built that thing.
Yeah. So, like, and this whole time, like, the whole family just bitched out Kenji. the whole family was like, wow, he's only 17. He's not really from the university. He just destroyed the internet. Grandma's heart monitor's not working. Put a bookmark in that one. Oh, my cousin can't get here on his flight. All this shit. So, like, the whole family just flamed this fucking 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And Wabasuke, the fucking asshole, is just like, what do you mean? Everyone should be impressed with me. I did this, basically. I sold it to the U.S. military. Which is just like, oh, of course.
And I didn't know what the fuck I was watching when I started watching Summer Wars. When it came down to, I'm like, I still didn't know the importance of Oz out to like the point where shit starts getting fucking crazy in Oz. Mm-hmm. But as soon as that happened, as soon as all this shit happened, I'm like, oh, it happened the same night the uncle showed up. He had to send a message to this dude. There has to be some animosity against that. Maybe he wants to win the favor of the family and target Kenji or something like that. But yeah, it surprised me, but it didn't surprise me that he was like, oh yeah, I'm the one that fucking did it.
Yeah, like Wabasuke is like the second-hand villain, kind of. Correct. Which is hilarious because it's like, Grandma's pissed. You know what I mean? Like, this 90-year-old woman jumps on her fucking rotary phone, and like her thing is like, no, the Jinochi clan is a strong clan and we have connections everywhere and I'm gonna call everybody else, and because we used to be a leader clan, we can motivate anybody to do anything. So she jumps on like a little fucking actual rotary phone
with paper stacks of numbers and contacts, and she just starts dialing, and like, again, just to show how much of a pillar this woman is in her family.
She's fire. She's fire.
Yeah, she calls and with a straight voice, she's like, hey man, I need you to do this.
She's calling her grandchildren.
You're gonna do that because I know you can do it, and don't give me any lip because I know you can do it. Shuts on the phone. Calls another motherfucker. Hey, I know what you're doing. I know what you do. It's like, this to help Japan, not just the family, but Japan.
Well, she starts with she starts with her grandchildren. Like, we're talking about the EMTs and the fire department, and she's like, hey, it's Grandma. I know you've been working for 12 hours, but stay strong. These people fucking need you. Mm-hmm. Hey, it's Grandma. Make this shit work. I know you can do it. It's all right. And then she starts calling, like, contacts. And then she's like, hey, I know I haven't seen you since so-and-so's funeral, but I know your bum-ass son has that nonprofit. So how about he actually jumps off his ass one time and does this thing and helps people?
Really good character.
Crazy. She's my favorite character in this whole movie. She's amazing. And so that's what's so much worse when Wabasuke comes back the second time and he's just talking so much shit and he's such a disappointment. Like, not only did he sell Grandma's land for this failed career, but like he's back and he's just an asshole and he just destroyed the whole world. And then, so Grandma's eyes are like, in the beginning, she's like, yeah, my eyes have never been wrong. I can see that Kenji's a good guy. So she was right on her initial assessment. You know what I mean? Like, Kenji did nothing wrong. Like, he's just a gifted math student. The grandma, when Wabasuke's talking shit and he's like proud of himself for destroying the internet, the grandma grabs like an old school fucking
Ningata.
Yeah. Which is like it's a giant curved blade off of like a 10-foot pole. Mm-hmm. And she, like, starts swinging this thing around. And even, like, the uncles are like, holy shit, Mom's doing what right now? And she corners Wabasuke, like, off the table.
Falls on the floor.
Spills all the food because they were about to have lunch. And she's just like, you motherfucker. Like, you are such a disappointment. I wish I could stab you in the face right now.
Well, she was waiting for him to get up. Because she was like, get up and die like a man.
Yup.
Stand up and die like a man.
Yup. Whoa, I'm not fucking with that grandma.
and Wabasuke grabs it by the blade, and he almost gets like this reality check on him. It's like, whoa, I just pissed off old hag so bad that she was about to fucking kill me.
It reminds me of Yu Yu Hakusho and what's her face? What's the old lady? Genkai.
Genkai.
It reminds me of Genkai a little bit, which is a good thing. Yeah. Which is definitely a good thing. We love Genkai. And so, you know, Wabasuke fucks up the second time. And they have like another night of like hoping the internet's gonna come back. But at the same time, something that we haven't picked up on. There's a juxtaposed story in the background where one of the cousins is in a National League like baseball tournament.
Oh yeah, I love that they're watching the Red Sox and the Yankees play like the entire time.
One of the aunts is just wearing a Red Sox jersey the whole movie.
Matsuma. I can't remember that fucking pitcher, but that the Red Sox pitcher was fucking great.
Yeah, but like that's the funny part, because she's watching like her son play baseball in this tournament the entire time. So whenever it's like a high stakes situation at home, like they need her help in the kitchen, they need the whole world's falling apart around her, she just wants to watch TV and just watch her son like win this fucking game. And he's the pitcher, so it's so much worse, because it's like if he's showing stress on his face, like, it means he's fucking up. Like he knows shit's about to go bad. And that night, they go to bed. They don't have any real solution there.
Grandma has a play of Kyo. What was it? The game? She plays with Kenji.
The koi koi thing?
Yeah, she plays with Kenji that one last night.
Right, because after like they've realized that Wabusuke was the actual problem, Kenji did nothing wrong, she has like a real heart to heart with him. You know what I mean? She's like, hey, I know that the women in my family are really strong-willed, and they get that from me, and like I told them not to put shit from nobody. And one of the uncles brings this up at one point too. It's just like, hey, all the guys in this family we're kind of little bitches.
Kind of soft shit.
We're kind of soft shit, but that's because all our women are so strong, and that's because of grandma, which is a good thing. We're all very comfortable with this. Yeah. And so the grandma's having this heart-to-heart with Kenji, and she's like, I know that Natsuki follows in that tradition, and she's really strong-willed, and I know she dragged you into this. I'm really sorry, but I see that you're a good person. But she ends it where she's like, treat her right. And Kenji's just like, what do you mean? Like, you know this is fake.
She's like, family's everything, though.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, like, Kenji, I know that your fake engagement with my granddaughter is fake, but treat her right, because family is everything. Oh,
and like it only takes like 10 minutes for you to realize how much like that matters, because that night one of grandma's sons, one of the uncles, is a doctor. He's a literal doctor, and he's her primary care physician. Like, this woman's 90 years old. She needs a lot of fucking attention.
Correct.
And when they first realize the internet's going down, he's going through his phone. He's like, wow, these numbers aren't adding up. What's going on? That scene takes all of 10 seconds. 30 minutes later, the next morning, they find grandma dead. And that same uncle, the one that's the doctor, is just like, honestly, like, she had heart problems, but I was doing a really good job monitoring her vitals and everything with the help of Oz.
With the help of
So Oz being down for 2 whole fucking days,
we missed some things.
We missed some shit. Like, I was trying my best, like, with my physical heart monitors and everything, but like, and there's only so much you can do. So grandma passed.
And they're doing CPR on her for X amount of time.
Oh my God!
The entire family's around, and he's like, dude, stop. And one of the younger cousins, I believe, is the baseball player that it's performing CPR on her.
The baseball player never shows up in person.
Oh, that's right. It must be one of the younger ones then.
Yeah.
Because he's doing work on the grandma still. He's like,
I think it was the cop.
No, it wasn't the cop. It wasn't the blonde one. No.
Yeah, it was one of them.
And he's still doing it. He's still working on her. He's like, stop, man. Stop.
Like, the whole family's like, dude, you're just breaking her chest at this point. Like, she's dead. Like, she's gone.
And he's like, everybody's here. He's like, 11 a.m.
Time of death, like 11 a.m. or some shit. Like, oh my God.
Fuck, and at this point, I mean, I don't know if anybody experience I'm a family guy. My mom has, ever since she started getting sick, she has done everything she can to keep the family together. You know what I'm saying? My mom's side of the family together, and, me starting my own family, I bring my family to my extended family, and we try to make, a bigger thing about it, try to connect with cousins more, try to be there like that. And I pass that to, I pass that to Gane. I'm like, never, like, reach out to your cousins, whatever, just hang out, call them, see how they're doing, whatever, and when you have a pillar like that just fall from the family, it sucks, man.
Because it was so preventable too, and that's what stings so much more. It's just like Wabusuke's fuck ass virus, this bum ass Wabusuke, who's like the failure of the fucking family,
who sneaks out in the night.
Yeah, who sneaks out in the middle of the night. Like, he's the reason for grandma's death. at a certain point. And like the rest of the family puts a word out. It's just like, hey, we need to start preparing for a wake. I knew we were getting ready for a birthday tomorrow, but now it's got to be a fucking wake tomorrow. Like, don't it come through ASAP, but like we have a bunch of other shit we got to take care of. And this is the part that gets me, like, one of the hardest bits is so Wabasuke finally hears word because he left his phone. Yes, he left his phone at Grandma's house. And Natsuki finds it, which is an iPhone. It is an iPhone. It's like a first generation iPhone. It has a four number passcode on it. And Grandma dies, and Natsuki is able to figure out what the passcode is. It's fucking Grandma's birthday, which means Wabasuke's full of shit because he showed up that first night being like, "Oh, I didn't know it was the old hag's birthday. You're not dead yet." So his phone passcode being Grandma's birthday. He knew the whole time. Like, he's full of shit. So the minute like Natsuki breaks into his phone, she figures out who his Oz avatar is. She hits him up and she's like, "Hey, uncle, fuck ass, like, Grandma's dead. And I know you get..." And he tries playing it off, so, "Oh, I don't give a fuck about that old hag. It's about time."
I believe, like, the dialogue was like, Natsuki calls him, "Where are you? Oh, I knew you were gonna fucking call. It's like, I need my phone back, this and that, but fuck it, I don't care." And then she's trying to say something. It's like, "Well," it's like, "Yeah, no, stop trying to talk me out of it. I'm not coming back." "Well, no, I told you." It's like, "Shut the fuck up." It's like, "Can you shut the fuck up for once in your fucking life?" It's like, "I beg," and then he's like, "I bet Grandma told you to call me." It's like, "No, dog. Grandma passed away last night." And like, it's funny, but I don't know if you saw it, but the background behind him was a crowd walking through like a bus stop or something like that. But there's a woman and a little kid, a woman holding on to a little kid that just stopped and looks at the conversation that Wabasuke's having.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit!" It's like,
because this is where we get, so like he skirts the fuck, like he also stole his cop cousin's car, like the Mazda he left on the side of the street. So he just skirts the fuck off. Like, me and my WRX, just like, skirt, out. You know what I mean? He's like, "I need to get there ASAP." So, like, he shows up. Car's beat the fuck up. Like, he's torn up every piece of this car just to get to Grandma as soon as possible. And he balls, like, as soon as he gets to the house. He's like, "There's no fucking way she's dead. There's no fucking way she's dead."
he shows up during the rating.
Oh, my God. Yeah, of her, like, not her will, but, like, her last letter to the family.
Her personal will. And we've talked about this in anime before. I believe it was in Made in Abyss, that there's not a physical will or something that you live to your family, but it's like your last thoughts to your loved ones.
Right, which is worse because...
I'm sorry, not Made in Abyss, Beastars, when Haru was about to die.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. She was making like an inner will.
Correct.
Like before Haru was eaten. But here, it's like, Grandma clearly wrote this before, like, a couple nights ago, where, like, she's like, "Hey, if I die, if you're reading this, that means I'm dead. I'm sorry. I love you all. You're, like, the best fucking family ever. You try so fucking hard. You're the best. But here's the thing. I know Wabasuke's estranged. I know we fucking hate him. I know he's a fuck ass. But please, 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 if he shows up, feed him. He's never been good at feeding himself.
That's why he's all scrawny.
He's all scrawny. He's a little bitch. But just like I've been telling you, all of you for like 50, 60 years, your number one value here is your family.
Please let him pick as many plums and as many grapes from the vine, because he loved those so much while we walked through the camp."
And this is where we get the flashback, like the flashback in Summer Wars, where it's Grandma with like a 5-year-old Wabasuke, which would have been 40 years ago, so she's already like 50, 60 something, right? It's her dead husband's bastard child, which is an ugly word, but like technically yes. So it's
Jon Snow.
Yes, it's Jon Snow, which is bad. I'm glad you said that. So like exactly, it's Jon fucking Snow. She's like, "Hey, you remind me so much of my husband, of my dead husband." Like, she misses her husband so much that she will adopt his illegitimate son,
yeah, there you go,
just to like protect the image of her dead husband. And his mother gave him up willingly, probably sold him because she knew that she had money, that grandma here had money. And the scene is them walking through a forest.
Through the vines, through the grapevines and the plum vines and shit.
And just being like, whatever you need, Wabusuke, like, I'm here for you. And it's one of those where, like, I can't speak. Yeah, it's like, we're like, when you're a kid, you think your parents are being annoying because they love you. You know what I mean? Like, you understand what, like, a parent's love is, but you don't understand until you're older what it means, right?
Correct.
Grandma just wanted to be close to somebody that was her husband. So she gave him everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, it's hard. It's hard. And
like the last piece of dialogue from Grandma here in the flashback is like, I promised him everything, and right then he wrapped his little hand around my finger that much tighter. And they just went home, and that was it. So, him being such a fuck ass is, like, so much worse, you know what I mean? Because, like, she gave up everything for this kid. She didn't even care that he sold her land, that he was estranged from the family. It was like, you're my boy, you know what I mean? There was no blood there, but that was her son. Oh, God, it's so... Oh, it hurts.
It hurts because...
It hurts because it's so good?
It hurts because... He's such an ass, and I believe that there's an ass in everybody's family, you know? There's always going to be the one person that did not realize the love that he was getting, you know, until it was too late, you know?
Which, like, I'm so glad he broke down there. Great directing decision, great writing decision right there. Because, like, imagine if he didn't have that reaction as an audience. Like, I just had to sit through that tear-jerking fucking flashback. For nothing, but he has a perfect reaction. Like, he loses his mind. Mm-hmm. He's like, what do you mean mom's dead? Like, there's no fucking way she's dead. She was invulnerable. She was the matrix. She was the pillar. Like, and so, going off the letter, though, the grandma said, like, everyone, like, work together, get your shit together, don't mourn me, like, have a party for when I'm dead, and then just go about your lives. Mm-hmm. So everyone being like, okay, grandma would have wanted us to fix this problem, so we gotta fix Oz. Mm-hmm. So everyone gets their shit together, and this is where we start seeing, like, who everybody in the family really is. Because we've been kind of seeing, like, oh... one of the uncle brought a bunch of squid. Like, this one uncle's, like, semi-good at, like, hardware when it comes to computers. Mm-hmm. But this is where we really start getting it. Everyone's like, okay, battle mode. Let's go. Let's go. We're going to treat this like an army. We're the Jinoichi clan. Like, let's get at this. So, the one uncle goes and gets his... he brings a trailer with his ship on it so that he can bring a big-ass generator and put it onto the lake by the house. Another uncle goes and gets a military truck with military-grade sonar attached to it. Antennas and stuff like that. The uncle with the warehouse that you think is just computer junk, he brings out this giant, like, 7 foot tall by, like, 10 feet wide fucking CPU thing.
Desktop console.
Like how you imagine the old supercomputers looking inside of labs. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, no, you need all this fucking CPU power. Let's get at it. Let's go. If we're going to beat this virus,
they bring in a shitload of ice to keep the computer room cold, which is, I mean, great thing to detail. What do you call it? Great eye for detail, because, I mean, a big-ass computer like that is going to run your house warm as fuck.
Yeah. Absolutely. So they send Kazuma back in there, and they're like, you're going to fight the virus again.
And I like this little Kazuma thing, because he is training with his dad, Kung Fu.
No, it's his uncle.
I mean, his uncle outside of the Oz, which the plot is telling you that outside Kung Fu skills translate into your like keyboard pressing and your...
Because his sensei is the fisherman uncle. So they're running like kung fu drills outside. You know what I mean? They're doing feng shui. They're doing tai chi.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off kind of stuff. And one of the ants is like in the background being like, yeah, Kazuma used to get bullied a fuck ton. But then he started being trained by his uncle, and, you know, that shit stopped right away. That shit stopped real quick. So, you know, he's prepping for battle. Like, he's getting his kung fu ready. And so they're like, all right, let's go. Get in there. And they have a whole ass plan. Like, they're going to seclude the virus in, like, this one section of Oz. They're going to close every doorway. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to flood it out.
They told all the people they knew about the plan so they could simultaneously run their house program.
Yeah.
So that he could be trapped within the house community or some shit like that.
Like, the virus has stolen, like, billions of avatars at this point. Which, like, the number of avatars it controls directly translates to its in-Oz strength. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they trap it inside this thing. They flood it out. They get the uncles that are the firemen and that have access to the flood systems to flood the house inside of Oz. Which doesn't make sense, but I don't know. Anime, whatever. I just cried about grandma. It's all right. Like, I'll go with anything at this point. It doesn't even fucking matter. Which, like, it's animated beautifully, though. Like I'm talking about. Like, it's always, like, bright-ass reds and blues and greens over, like, a white backdrop, which makes it pop that much more. So it looks wild when you see it happening. But, of course, we saw, like, 20, 30 minutes left in this movie. The virus gets out. They just expunge all their efforts. Kazuma's avatar is, like, frying out because the dumbass cop uncle found the room full of ice and was like, oh, man, like, they're freezing out my grandma. I can't let this happen. So he gets the ice from the CPU room and takes it to where the dead body of the grandma is. Because
it was a hot day.
Because it was a hot day, so that he can keep the body fresher. But he's still talking to the body. Like, don't worry, Mom. I know it's hot outside. I got you. I'll just put shit out so that you're all right.
And just starts lagging inside Oz because they're trying to run, like... Their goal in here with, like, big antennas, big generator, big computer, it's to avoid as much lag in his gameplay so he can have an upper hand towards this virus.
Yeah.
But then the cop, again, being a little bit in denial here, it's trying to keep... And don't get me wrong, it kind of makes sense of, like, okay, if you keep a body in warm heat, you know what I'm saying?
Disgusting. That is fucking disgusting.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to get crazy. Maybe a couple of ice blocks would have worked, but he took all the fucking, you know...
Like, he clearly saw the giant CPU in the room, and it was just like, nope, they don't need this. They don't need this. And so they open up that room, and it's a fucking furnace, and there's like, what happened? Where's all the ice? So that's that failed plan. So then...
they trap him in this water-flooded community thing as the guy's taking out the ice... So it becomes weaker in a way, like the structure.
Because they don't have the CPU power to keep the virus contained.
Correct.
So it busts out.
Yep. I mean, we still have like 30 minutes to the end of the movie. Maybe even 20 minutes to the end of the movie.
No, absolutely.
And we know he's going to get out.
No. Yeah. So what ends up happening next is they do the final plan. The third plan. Because now the virus has gotten access to not only, like, the United States' like, missile codes, but also has access to, like, the Japanese military's, like, satellite codes. So it is trying to, like, suicide a satellite into, like, Greater Japan, into, like, the Tokyo area, which we know is a highly condensed population of people. It would kill millions of people.
And he has control over, like, different, plants, like nuclear plants, where he can, like, initiate a meltdown in, which will, you know, become even more destructive. And so, and then this whole point at the back where the uncle, what's his name? I'm sorry. Wabusuke. He's like, oh, well, it's because my thing is just trying to learn. He's not doing this out of, like, evil doing. He's just trying to see what happens.
If he's militarized, it's because of the U.S. military.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Americans.
Which makes sense at the same time. Even as an American, I'm like, that sounds right. Yeah, it was either the Americans or the Russians. Okay. Okay, fine. Whatever.
So we have a nuclear fucking clock. We have a nuclear...
Yeah, the movie gives us a timer. It's like they have 3 hours to solve the entire, like...
nuclear apocalypse.
Yeah. So... because Kenji has almost solved, like, the gatekeeping code into Oz one time, he is instructed to do it again. Because Takashi, the friend, is like, okay, we're going to break in again, and then you're going to let Kazuma in, and then he's going to win, and then Wabusuke is going to be in the background running code, and that's how we're going to destroy the virus. So cool. And they have this big idea, and they're also going to use Natsuki at the same point to distract it by playing a game, because Wabusuke is like... That thing doesn't want to win. That thing just wants to win, especially with any game, which is why it tried so hard against Kazuma. So Kenji is running the code again. Like, he's trying to break the initial code to break into Oz. He solves it, but then the virus is able to instantly change the code again. And then at that same moment, he's just like, fuck, I gotta do it again. Which, like, we're at a timer. We have, like, an hour 40 minutes left that he's trying to break into the back door of Oz.
And at the same time, because they are distracting the virus, our girl protagonist Natsuki, she's playing Koi with him.
Because if the virus gets if it gets its power from controlling avatars, she's making a bet against the virus. Like, I'll play Koi with you, betting my family's avatars against your avatars.
And it's this badass, like, lineup of like, when they come up with this plan, because of the behind Natsuki's avatar is her family. Mm-hmm. It's like, I bet you 20 motherfuckers you can't beat me on a game of Kyokyo with your 6 billion fucking avatars.
Yep.
And they're getting fucking big. The virus is, computer language.
I can do it.
Yeah. Just fucking doing all the internet noises. And she starts winning. She starts getting some. We haven't mentioned it, but we get the 2 whales that are the protectors of Oz.
Because Oz is also an isekai. It has magical deities within the video game / internet world that can bless, like, code onto a character. Mm-hmm. Which reminds me of Sword Art Online. That's what that reminded me of.
It reminded me of the other isekai. ReZero with the 2 whales.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Season 2 of ReZero.
Yeah, and then, anyways, fucking Natsuki starts fucking choking, and she gets down to her last 74 avatars, which she cannot continue.
Well, keep in mind, she got, like, millions at one point, right? Yes. Like, because the family's behind her, it's just like... So to say Koi in this game means you're continuing with the bet. You know what I mean? Like, you're not cashing out. Like, you're Koi. Like, nah, I'm going. Yeah. She gets, like, millions and millions of accounts back. And she fucks up because she gets distracted at one point by what Wabasuke's doing, what Kenji's doing while trying to run code on the side. And she gets distracted and loses a game. And that's where we get where you're saying where she's back down to 74 and it's like, oh no.
And she doesn't have the minimum bet to bet for another game. So our computer virus is about to call Koi.
Yeah. He's just like, well, I'm gonna cash you out.
And then we get this little German boy, and he's like, hey, yo, you can use my avatar. I don't give a shit. She gets 75, and then out of nowhere, she gets fucking flush with people.
Which is, again, the exact same plot to the Digimon movie. Where,
I do remember
where the Digidestins are like, oh, we no longer have enough power with our 5 Digimon. And then every Digimon in the entire world's like, all the kids that are Digidestined are like, nah. You can use mine, and that's how they gain that power, which is the exact same plot here. So the whole world just starts flooding their avatars to Natsuki, and she starts winning at Koi again.
And Natsuki gets a blessing from the well saviors of this Oz world, and
she gets a cosmetic upgrade, and has magic powers.
She becomes like a guardian angel,
of
Oz and shit, and starts fucking ranking our virus.
And Kenji's still on hand and paper, like running code. And this is like one of the craziest parts though, because the virus keeps resetting on the back end, the code, at a certain point he gets so used to doing it that he just eyeballs it. Like, he looks like he's about to go fucking manic. And his eyes are just like shifting and like twitching all over the page, just looking at the code. And he just starts typing in fucking numbers. And everyone's just like, what is he doing? He's not even writing down numbers anymore. What the fuck is happening?
He just got warmed up.
And Wabasuke, the whole ass professor's just like, what is happening? Like, is he really running code in his head? And he's just like, type. And he breaks in from the back door. He is able to run the code so fast that the virus can't even reset the entry code back in.
Well, we do get a little bit more of exposition there, because once he loses at Koi, he ends up with 2 accounts.
Natsuki.
The virus.
Oh, yeah.
Which was Kenji's avatar, and the one that was controlling the big bomb in the sky, the satellite bomb in the sky. So now the virus has single targeted
their house.
Their house.
Their house. They're like, I know where you're trying to break in from.
Everybody's freaking the fuck out. It's like, we gotta evacuate. Tell the neighbors. We gotta fucking go.
Even Kenji's like, hey, Natsuki, get the fuck out of here in case I can't solve this code in time. It's just me and Wabasuke in the house. Everyone else dip. Like, no one else needs to be here.
But they don't. Because family comes first.
Oh my god! I love this movie so much!
Because family comes first.
I love it so much. No, I'm not going to abandon you in your time of need, nerd. Yeah. Like,
I was expecting Dom Toretto to show up.
Oh my god. For real. Like, it's the family dynamic from the Fast and the Furious series. Like, it's just like, no, dude, family does not abandon family. Like, you're family now.
And like you said, he's fucking spazzing out on the code. Our virus, he's just with running 2 avatars, and now King Kazuma comes back powered up, and is able to. Well, Wabusuke is coding his own virus live, so he destroys the protection part of the code, so he's more vulnerable. So once King Kazuma comes in and fucking knocks this virus out, that's when Kenji is able to apply the third plan in phase to almost deter the trajectory of the bomb.
Right.
And it's not a nuclear bomb. It's a pretty good napalm bomb. Like, it's an explosive bomb, but it's not nuclear as far as I know. Right?
I think it was just a flat out satellite.
Yeah, because it looked like a bomb. Like, it was.
I can't even remember. Yeah. I can't even remember. But like we described earlier that there's a lake right next to the house. So at the very last second, like Wabusuke and Kenji are just able to like shove it into that lake, and it destroys part of the house. This giant fucking gorgeous house that we've been describing this whole fucking movie. It destroys the fisherman uncle's boat, but they saved the day. You know what I mean? Like, they did it, and they did it for the memory of grandma. Like, which is like the best way possible, because and the movie ends so quickly from here on out, so fast. Because my biggest gripe about this movie is it's an hour and 50 minutes, and that's only because the ending of Act 1 and the start of Act 2 are probably like 10, 15 minutes too long. Like, they spend too much time on world building a little bit. Yeah. They spend too much time building on like the family dynamic and showing you, which like, it helps. You know what I mean? I understand. But if this movie was like an hour 35, maybe, this would be like perfect. But like the first half of the movie runs like 10, 15 minutes too long. Yeah.
But it ends beautifully. I mean, back to your point that what it turned out, what it was supposed to be a celebration, now we're running a funeral for grandma.
But it's happy.
Yeah, it's a happy funeral because it's a small funeral. It was what grandma wanted. Wabusuke's there. Redeemed.
All the extended uncles, the cousins showed up. Everyone got their flights fixed. Everyone's off work finally.
And we get a little look from Natsuki towards Kanji. He's like, hey, I kind of really like this nerd.
Right, because Natsuki has like a ukulele, like a la like Hawaii, which like we've talked a lot. Like, the Japanese are like really obsessed with Hawaiian culture for some reason. Probably because it's like
they wanted to invade it, probably.
Oh yeah, one of them. Anyways, so she's in like a not a regular kimono, but it looks like a Hawaiian like floral kind of dress kimono thing, and she's wearing a lei, and she's got a little ukulele, and she's singing a song that she was gonna perform for grandma's birthday, but it's the funeral, so they have this giant like flower ofrenda looking thing. You know what I mean? And they're celebrating her life. They're not mourning her death. And at the very end, what you're talking about, Natsuki looks at Kenji and she's like, "Hey, you kind of saved the world, and I think I actually like you now. Do you want to kiss maybe?" But of course, Kenji's a nerd. You know what I mean? Like, it's in character for him to be super nervous and anxious. Because he got a nosebleed while doing the last piece of code because he's just so under pressure and just so fucking focused that his fucking nose just starts bleeding everywhere. So he still has like tissues up his nose while she's like saying she wants to kiss him. Yeah. And so she says, she like puts her lips out and almost kisses him, and he just like bleeds everywhere because anime. You know what I mean?
Turns around, he gets a peck on the cheek, and
the whole family's like accepted him. You know what I mean? Like, Kenji is the fiance as far as the family's concerned at this point. Like, this is the guy.
Correct. And movie ends here, guys.
Gorgeous.
Feliz Dia de los Muertos tomorrow.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. Yeah. It's great. It's ironic that this came out from the same studio at the same time as Studio Redline, because like, when it comes to like plot wise, like they're complete polar opposites. Like, Redline is so much more just like
ends on a money shot,
testosterone, money filled, like just punch you in the face. Summer Wars just wants to just make you hurt a little bit,
makes you appreciate almost. You know what I'm saying?
But like, you can tell that they didn't spend fucking 7 years on Summer Wars. Correct. Like the animation's fine, it's gorgeous at a certain point. Where it looks dated is the CGI. On the virus, especially like its final form, it's a giant like million avatar fucking virus. It looks really cheesy and like gloopy. It looks like
could have made it a little more colorful, but I mean, I bet it was like, budget thing.
It looks like a PS4 Final Fantasy kind of structure. Like, it's not super flush, but like
it was great. You didn't even notice it.
Yeah, it's barely on screen. It doesn't matter. It's excellent. Everyone should watch Summer Wars.
Definitely. As far as the Nerd Down goes, We don't have anything for dinner, do we?
Not really. If anybody has like some weird nerd pieces of media that they want us to watch, some nerd activities, games, movies, shows, anything you want us to talk about that's off topic from our regularly scheduled discussion, hit us up. Email us, betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com. All of our social media handles are @betweennerds. Like, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can hit us up on those same platforms.
Our email betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com.
Exactly.
And with all that said, thank you, nerds, for joining us. There was episode 67 of Between Nerds. This has been Between
Nerds.